negotiations have failed. Shoot him!
Wait!
Today, let's do something fun. Let's dive into the lavish lifestyle of Springfield's richest, most powerful, and most ruthless resident, the notorious Charles Montgomery Plantagenet Schicklgruber Burns. You know him. This mysterious billionaire has a fortune that would make even Scrooge McDuck go green with envy, with estimates putting his wealth in the billions. As we explore the depths of his empire and learn the shocking truth about the man we all love to loathe, you can expect an adventure like no other. We'll be exploring every aspect of this beloved TV icon's life, from his humble beginnings to his ultimate end. So, grab your donuts and settle in as we explore the life of the enigmatic billionaire.
Yes. Naturally, I can't pay you much of a reward because I'm strapped for cash.
Long before Mr. Burns became, well, Mr. Burns, he was a young boy with a teddy bear named Bobo by his side. At about 6 years old, he was even given the nickname Happy by his parents, Clifford and Daphne, because of how friendly he was, but he soon became a rude baby with serious anger issues. Yup! Have your glazed donuts because Charles's story takes a sinister turn. His wealthy grandpa, a very notorious man and a slave owner during the Civil War, took him in. My goodness, talk about a terrible trunk in the family tree. Charles developed into a spoiled brat under Wainwright's watchful eye, or should we say whip, yet he was still a terrible kid. 1,000 Bart Simpsons couldn't match the ferocity of this little beast. His good parents were actually harboring some very evil offspring. His father had an extreme approach to parenting, and rather than giving him timeouts, he burned down a comic book store once to teach him a lesson. Really? A bit extreme, folks. A lot extreme, in fact. Clearly, the basics of parenting were not their forte. Charles's only Christmas wish as a kid was for his parents to smile at him, but that was about as likely as discovering a pot of gold in the back of a leprechaun's cave. It's no surprise that he developed a cold disposition and an appetite for authority. Folks, it's little wonder that Mr. Burns became the grumpy, money-grubbing magnate we all love to detest, given the twisted upbringing he had as a child. His childhood education was less Mary Poppins and more Scrooge McDuck. There's a particularly traumatic childhood memory where he was performing in a Pee-wee pageant. While dancing enthusiastically, his pants accidentally came off, and he ended up mooning the entire crowd. Monty was the youngest of 11 siblings, or 12 if you count George Burns. However, all of them met tragic ends under mysterious circumstances, like eating a poisoned potato, experiencing spontaneous combustion, or even falling down a well. Due to these deaths, the family's wealth would eventually pass to him when the time came, which is kinda sus if you think about it. I'm sure Burns didn't have a hand in that. You now know the dark and hilarious backstory of Mr. Burns, with enough familial dysfunction to make the Addams blush. Folks, don't raise a generation of Burnses, okay?
Don't worry, Simpson. It just so happens I have a chair at Springfield University.
As a billionaire heir, Burns went to Yale University and majored in business and science, while joining the prestigious Skull and Bones fraternity and playing on the varsity football team. He earned his degree in 1914 and published The Rung of Ruthlessness a few years later. He spent his wealth extravagantly in the 1920s, ignorant of the Great Depression. Following Germany's invasion of Poland in 1939, Burns became a member of the SS. Nevertheless, he later chose to defect and escape from Germany. Due to his American background, he returned to the United States in 1941, shortly after the country declared war on Germany, and subsequently enlisted in the U.S. Army.
Oh, their flower power is no match for my glower power. Ooh.
Charles Burns was a cocky little private who served with Grandpa Simpson during the Second World War in the Flying Hellfish Battalion.
Ours was a cocky little private.
And Monty was such a troublemaker. According to Grandpa, Burns' rank got reduced because he obstructed a probe from J. Edgar Hoover. Burns was such an annoying prick. He distracted and hindered Grandpa from killing Adolf Hitler with the perfect headshot. And it's all because Burns needed Abe's help to play lawn tennis. And regardless of this annoying act, Grandpa still saved Burns' life when Hitler started shooting back. Eventually, Burns and the Flying Hellfish won won the Korean War. And after the war in the 1960s, Burns became a biochemist and bioterrorist who taught at Springfield University and owned a biological weapons facility that was bombed by peace activists, including Homer's mom, Mona. In 1968, he opened the Springfield nuclear power plant, which nearly exploded over the summer due to a meltdown. However, Smithers Sr. sacrificed himself to prevent the explosion, leaving his son Waylon Smithers Jr. in Burns's care. The plant was reopened in 1974 and has experienced several highs and lows since then.
Smithers, that woman has captivated me, which, if memory serves, is an early state of physical arousal.
Oh, buckle up for this roller coaster of a soap opera. After Daphne's wild affair with none other than former U.S. President William Howard Taft, Mr. Burns' relationship with his mother hit rock bottom. It seems like old Burnsy never quite forgave Dear Mama for that scandalous escapade. And speaking of scandal, Mr. Burns has a few Citizen Kane vibes going on too. Just like Charles Foster Kane in that famous film, he relied on his family's reputation to waltz his way into Yale, joining the elite university club. Rising to the top like a rocket, Burns became a formidable business tycoon, ready to take his inheritance and turn it into an even more gigantic fortune. And let's not forget his suave side. This version of Charles M. Burns was quite the ladies' man. He even proposed to his cousin Lila in the City of Love, Paris. Talk about a love story with a twist. Unfortunately, love didn't seem to be his strong suit. He fell for Gertrude, but the poor woman found herself second to Burns' career obsession. And the tragic tale continued as he couldn't make time for their wedding, honeymoon, or even the divorce. Yikes! Talk about a commitment phobia. But wait. There's more! Enter Minzy Bancroft, and though he might have shown some interest, it seemed his main focus was on Minzy's daughter, Lily. Well, she gave birth to a boy, who was later adopted. Because, let's face it, Burns was never really the pleasant kind of guy. And who could forget about poor Smithers Jr.? Madly in love with his boss, but alas, it's a love that will never sail smoothly. Burns just can't return those romantic feelings. Oh, and if you don't want us to be like poor Smithers, who won't ever get a requited love, do well to subscribe to our channel and give us a thumbs up, because we love you so much, and that's why we put out these great contents for you. Now back to Mr. Burns.
Yes, I'm missing one son. Return it immediately.
If you really love Larry, prove it, and you can have him back today.
Oh, how much proof do you
Let's
need?
talk about Larry Burns, Mr. Burns' son, who was kept hidden for many years. Born in the late 1940s, Larry Burns resulted from a brief relationship between Mr. Burns and Lily. Due to his obsessive pursuit of wealth and power and his selfishness, Lily decided to give up her son for adoption shortly after his birth. Growing up unaware of his true parentage, Larry led a modest and unremarkable life. He never knew about the immense fortune and influence his biological father possessed. However, as fate would have it, Larry eventually discovered his roots through several events. In one emotionally charged encounter, Larry met with Mr. Burns, who initially denied any connection to him. The encounter left Larry heartbroken, feeling rejected by the father he had sought to know. Nevertheless, this revelation sparked a desire within Larry to understand his heritage better. Despite their rocky start, Mr. Burns began to show moments of genuine paternal concern for Larry, albeit in his unique and sometimes misguided ways. These moments of vulnerability hinted at a longing for the family connection he had lost in his relentless pursuit of wealth. However, their attempts to build a meaningful relationship were often hindered by Mr. Burns' cold and distant nature. The contrasting personalities of father and son made for some compelling and emotionally charged episodes on The Simpsons. In the end, Larry's time in Springfield was brief, but it left a lasting impact on the residents, especially on his father, Mr. Burns. Despite their differences and the complexities of their relationship, Larry's presence in Mr. Burns' life served as a reminder of the importance of family and the consequences of choices made in the pursuit of wealth. And it is just really hard to talk about Burns without making mention of his offspring, because while Larry Burns may not have been a prominent character in The Simpsons, his presence provided a rare glimpse into the vulnerabilities of the enigmatic Mr. Montgomery Burns, making their interactions a memorable and heartfelt aspect of the life of Burns.
Larry, my lad, I've gone over this story in my mind 1,000,000 times. It was 1941.
Mr. Burns appears to have figured out how to live forever. Even several years from the current day, he appears in later episodes looking largely the same. But, oh no, he's up to his old shenanigans again, pilfering the holiday spirit. It's vintage Burns. Then, a bombshell during Lisa's wedding. Those dorky scientists stabbed him 17 times in the back before placing him in a cryogenic chamber. What a chilling act of vengeance. Don't worry, he recovered. But after that, things went strange. Some speculate that if the world were to end today, he could use a robot body to live on. Imaginable, right? Burns, master of Springfield's robots. At least he won't be completely alone, since Bobo the teddy bear will be there to comfort him. Oh, and Smithers, in the form of a robot dog, gets in on the action too. Who would have guessed? And there you have it, the life and times of the enigmatic Mr. Montgomery Burns. From his humble beginnings to his controversial and humorous escapades, his journey on The Simpsons has left an indelible mark on popular culture. Love or hate him, there's no denying that Mr. Burns will forever be remembered as one of the most iconic characters in television history. Thank you for joining us on this journey through Mr. Burns' timeline. If you enjoyed the video, remember to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell to stay updated with more exciting content. Until next time, folks.